Welcome back to English Listening World. I'm Les Paris, and this is the 11th episode in our series, Akihiro's Listening Journey. In our previous episodes, Akihiro has mastered 10 powerful techniques for improving English listening comprehension. Today he'll discover another subtle but common sound change in casual English speech. How the T sound often transforms into a D sound. For many English learners, especially those whose native languages maintain distinct consonant sounds, this transformation can be particularly confusing. Words like got-a, sounding like gotta, or better, sounding like better, can create significant misunderstanding. Today, Akihiro will discover how recognizing this pattern can further improve his understanding of natural English. Let's join him as he makes this important discovery. Chapter 11. T becomes a D sound. 13 weeks into his English listening journey, Akihiro stood in front of his bathroom mirror, rehearsing his presentation one final time. Today marked an important milestone, his first major client presentation since Mr. Wilson had given him more responsibilities. The data encryption protocols are ready for integration. His collection of listening techniques had dramatically improved his comprehension, but speaking clearly still required conscious effort. As he arrived at the office, nervousness mingled with excitement. "Morning, Akihiro. Got a minute to review the slides?" Akihiro nodded as Mike continued. "I got a new laptop yesterday, much faster than my old one." Akihiro paused, momentarily confused. Gotta? What was that? A brand name he wasn't familiar with? "Sorry, what did you get?" Mike looked puzzled for a moment. Then he repeated more slowly, "I got a new laptop." Realization dawned on Akihiro. Mike hadn't said gotta. He had said got-a, but the T had somehow transformed into a D sound in his rapid speech. Before he could consider this further, Mr. Wilson called the team to prepare for the client's arrival. The presentation began smoothly, with Akihiro explaining the security implementation with growing confidence. During the Q&A session, one of the clients leaned forward. "What about the data migration? How long will that take?" Akihiro froze momentarily. "What about?" sounded like a single word to him, and he wasn't sure what specific aspect of data migration the client was asking about. "The data formats have been standardized across all platforms." He launched into an explanation of technical specifications, but the client looked slightly confused. "That was helpful, but I was asking about the timeline. When will the migration be completed?" Heat rose to Akihiro's face as he realized his misunderstanding. The client had simply asked, "What about the data migration?" A question about timing, not technical details. "I apologize. The migration will be completed within 2 weeks after the security protocols are implemented." The presentation concluded successfully despite this small hiccup, and the clients invited the team to lunch. At the restaurant, Akihiro found himself seated next to Tanaka-san. "I misunderstood 'what about' as 'what about.' I thought it was a technical term. I didn't know." You've discovered another common sound change in English. Just like how the H often disappears, the T sound frequently transforms into a D sound in casual speech. Really? The T becomes a D? Exactly. especially when the T appears between vowels or certain consonants. Got-a becomes gotta. What about becomes what about. Get it becomes get it. In Japanese, we maintain distinct consonant sounds regardless of position. That's why it's challenging for us. English tends to blend consonant sounds based on their position and surrounding sounds. Linguists call this intervocalic T-flapping when it occurs between vowels. Throughout lunch, Akihiro began noticing this pattern everywhere in the client's casual speech. Let's meet at 3 sounded like meet at. Waiting to hear back sounded like waiting to go. A lot of time sounded like a lot of time. Back at the office, Akihiro researched this phenomenon, discovering it was especially common in American English. He created a list of common patterns. T between vowels. Water, water. Better, better. T after N. 20, 20. Wanted, wanted. T in common phrases. Got to, gotta. Let me, lemme. T plus you. Don't you, don'tcha. Won't you, won'tcha. During the afternoon team meeting, Akihiro practiced identifying these transformed sounds. When Sarah said, "We better finish this by Friday," he heard better, but understood she meant better. When Mike mentioned, "I'm waiting to hear from legal," Akihiro correctly processed waiting despite hearing waiting. After the meeting, he noticed Chen, a recent hire from China, looking confused after a conversation with David. "Everything okay?" David kept talking about little problems with the code. But I can't find any reference to little in our documentation. Akihiro smiled with recognition. He was probably saying little problems. In casual English speech, the T often sounds like a D, especially between vowels. Really? That's not what we learned in English class. I've been collecting English listening techniques. This is my 11th discovery. The T sound often becomes a D sound. Listen for words like better, sounding like better, matter, sounding like matter, or little, sounding like little. He showed Chen several examples written in his notebook, explaining how this connects to rhythm and stress patterns in English. It's similar in Chinese and Japanese. We expect each consonant to maintain its distinct sound. But English prioritizes rhythm and flow, so sounds change based on their position. Chen tried applying the technique immediately, listening to a recording of their earlier meeting. "I can hear it now." Get it is actually get it. This helps so much. That evening, Akihiro updated his notebook. Technique number 11. T becomes a D sound. In casual speech, T often transforms to a D sound, especially between vowels. Common patterns between vowels: water, water. Better, better. After N. 20, 20. Wanted, wanted. In phrases: got to, gotta. Lot of, lotta. When you hear a D sound in unexpected places, check if it might actually be a T, more common in American English than British English, connected to rhythm and flow of speech. The following day, Mr. Wilson stopped by Akihiro's desk. "The client was very impressed with your presentation yesterday. They specifically mentioned how much clearer the communication has become. I'm thinking of having you help train some of our new international team members on communication techniques." Akihiro thanked him, feeling a surge of pride. Just a few months ago, he had been the one struggling to understand casual English. Not only was he comprehending it, but might soon be helping others do the same. His notebook, once filled with confusion and frustration, now contained 11 powerful techniques for decoding natural English speech. What had started as a personal challenge had evolved into a system that could help others bridge the gap between textbook English and the language as it was actually spoken in everyday life. And that's how Akihiro discovered his 11th listening technique, recognizing how T often becomes a D sound in casual English speech. To practice this technique yourself, try these simple steps. Listen for the D sound appearing in words where you expect a T sound. Focus especially on T between vowels, like in better, water, or city. Learn common phrases where this occurs. Got a, lot of, what if. Remember, this is more common in American English than British English. Notice how the T after N often changes or disappears. 20 becomes 20. Wanted, wanted. Combine with previous techniques for comprehensive understanding. This technique is particularly helpful for speakers of languages like Japanese, Chinese, and Korean, which maintain more distinct consonant sounds regardless of the position in words. Join us next time for our final episode when Akihiro brings together all his techniques and discovers how to move from intensive to extensive listening, tackling longer conversations and presentations with confidence. Thanks for listening to English Listening World. Don't forget to subscribe and practice what you learned today.